This conference will now be
Okay,
recorded.
so our learning is dedicated for a refuah shalema, a complete healing for Rachamim Sason ben Bracha Fruma Gittel and Mordechai Chanukah. Okay, the child should have a complete healing, we hope. Okay. There's going to be Tehillim. Well, now he's putting together. There's going to be trying to get 40 women together for Hafrashat Chala this evening at 7:15, and we'll be saying Tehillim after Mariv, completing the whole book of Tehillim. We have separate booklets that we give out, and that way the entire Tehillim is done. And that will be about 8:10 after Mariv this evening. So all those who can join in, please do so. Okay, let's take a look at Parshat Naso. And Parshat Naso has in it many different components. Structurally, it starts off in a fairly disjoint manner. And for that, let's go back to we're on 748. That's what Parshat Naso is in the Stone Chumash. Let's go back to 738 for a moment, just to get our traction over here. 738 was back in Parshat Bamidbar, which is all about the counting and the countings. And after counting the 11 tribes, or the 12 tribes with Levi not in the tally, and discussing the arrangement as we would travel through the Midbar with the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the middle, and three tribes, and the Leviim all camped around the formation. Then it says, and also you shall count, Pasuk Yud Zayin, verse 17, and you should also count the tribe of Levi from 1 month, and we discussed it last time. And the sons of Levi were, excuse me, Gershon, Kahat, and Merari. Okay, Gershon is the oldest, then Kahat, and then Merari. Okay, and then we go through, and these are the names of the sons of Gershon, right? The oldest, that's verse 18, 19 over there. On page 740, as we turn, we have verse 27 for Kahat, these are his children. And then verse 33 for Merari, these are his children. And that's the lineup. Gershon, the oldest, Kahat, and then Merari. And then we speak about the tasks or the job that each of them had. Each of these sons, their mini tribe, we'll call it, or their family within Levi, would be in charge of transporting different parts of the Mishkan as we traveled through. So on page 744, we say, Naso, lift up the heads of the Kahat, of the Bnei Kahat. This is page 744, chapter 4. And from 30 until 50, this was the avoda, this was the service of Kahat, Kodesh Kadashim, in the Holy of Holies, that they would be the ones who would carry the Aron, the ark itself, after the Mishkan would be disassembled by the Kohanim, and the ark would be covered over. And then verse 7, they carry the Shulchan, the table, right? And then also they would carry the menorah, verse 9, and they would also carry 746, the Mizbeach HaZahav. So now we're talking about that which each of these families would be carrying as they went through the Midbar, what they would be carrying. And then our Parsha, thank you very much, our Parsha picks up in the middle, 748, Naso, lift up, or take a census of the Bnei Gershon, the sons of Gershon, right? And what was their job? They would be carrying the curtains of the Ohel Moed, the covering curtains, and the partition coverings, and the curtains of the courtyard all around the Mishkan area. And then Bnei Merari, the bottom of there, of page of verse 29, still in 748, they would be doing a little heavier work. They'd be carrying the brichim, the amudim, adanav. They would be carrying the upright posts, the support horizontal posts, the adanim, the sockets, and then the posts of the courtyard. So it's very strange, because when we're talking about the carrying, we start with Kahat, last week's Parsha, and then in the middle of the carrying, now we pick up with what Gershon and family would carry, and Merari and his family would carry. So it would seem, if you or I were splitting up the Parshiot, right? Keep in mind, the Parshiot were all split up as we have them in order that we finish the entire Torah every year. So if you or I was splitting up the Parshiot, I would imagine we would have either made the break before the carrying, before Kahat, or after the carrying, after Merari. Yet we stop in the middle of the carrying. We mentioned Kahat at the end of last week's Parsha, and then we pick up in the middle of the carrying with Gershon and Merari. So I once heard, as I was poking around this morning, I didn't have as much time as I like to the night before to poke around. But I was poking around this morning. I did not see where I saw this originally. But we say derech eretz kadma l'Torah.
The way of the land.
The way of the land, right? And the way of the land is often translated meaning the way of the land, earning a livelihood, right? Or derech eretz, which is being respectful, being sensitive, being kind. That is kadma l'Torah.
So that's the culture of that land. That's the culture, the way of that.
Correct.
Land.
Right. So acting in the way of the land, in the way of. Well, I guess the definition there, derech eretz, means we're here on the eretz, we're here on the land, right? And we have to make sure that we are acting in a respectful, kind, civil manner with one another. It was interesting. I was at a bar mitzvah yesterday, and I was talking to the rabbi there, and an amazing family, a wonderful family, right? And we were talking, right, not necessarily about this family in particular, but in general, how you have so many people who might not be so exacting in their observance, but they are incredible people, incredible Jews, and do an incredible amount for the Jewish people, for us, for God's nation here, and they are tzaddikim. They are righteous people. And this person quoted from, I think, the Lubavitch Rebbitzin, that she labeled them tzaddikim who don't lay tefillin. Right? They might not put on tefillin, but they are tzaddikim. And I mentioned that I've heard in the name of Shmuel Kamenetsky discussing a certain person saying, an erlecha yid, which is Yiddish for a lofty, exalted erlecha yid. a Mechalel Shabbos, but an Er L'Chayid, right? Not Shabbat observant, but and of course we discussed this back by Parshas Yisroel. There are these two components, right? We had the two luchot. We had the first five, which were between person and creator, mostly Hashem, but also including parents in the creator category. That's the first five. And the second five are bein adam lechaveiro, between a person and interpersonal, person to person. And I was discussing with this other rabbi how it seems strange that the way we discuss is the person from, right? Is the person from a religious Jew, right? So we say a religious Jew is Shabbos observant. That's the criterion that we use for a religious Jew, right? Right? And you could have a person who is not Shabbos observant, but who does incredible things on behalf of the Jewish people and is incredibly meticulous and honest in all of his or her dealings, and does amazing things for the Jewish people. He mentioned that he was doing a service for a person who was not observant, and he said that this person was very, very, very observant. He kind of looks at him like, Rabbi, I think you got the wrong guy. And he said the Gemara tells us the very first thing that a person is asked when they ascend after 120 years is Nasata v'natata be'emunah. Did you deal in an honest fashion? Or you did Nasata, did you give and take? Or your dealings, were they be'emunah? Were they in an honest, trusted, with integrity? Is that how you, right? And he said, this person, that's what he did, right? Very observant. So we'll look at a person who's Shomer Shabbos, right? The person might be in jail for who knows what, or in terms of morality, might be who knows what involved it. Shomer Shabbos, that's religious, not Shomer Shabbos, and it's skewed again, right? I'm not saying A and not B or B and not A. Right. It's supposed to be both, and that is the totality to which we strive. But derech eretz kadma l'Torah. So an explanation I heard over here is Kahat is going to go first. Kahat was the one who was chosen to carry the holiest of the items. Right, and we'll see later on in the Parsha that there were wagons that were donated, 6 wagons for the transport. 4 of those wagons were given to Merari because they were carrying the wooden posts that were, let's not forget, 10 amot high, anywhere between 15 to 20 feet high, right? And they were massive.
Which I now kind of am getting finally with your book.
Yeah, and there were 96 of them. I think 96. No, maybe there were 40, not 96, 20, 40, there were 40,
at the entrance
there were 40, 48, either 46 or 4, I think 46 or 48 of them. Okay, so they got 4 of the wagons, and Gershon, who had all of the curtainware, so they had 2 of the wagons. Kahat, no wagons at all. They would personally carry it. Okay, so Kahat has the most exalted position. He's written first, but that would have been somewhat embarrassing or demeaning to the Bechor, to the firstborn. Who was the firstborn? That's Gershon. So therefore, had we had that as its own topic over there, its own section, the carriers, Kahat, Gershon, Merari, that would have put Gershon into a somewhat demeaning slot. Therefore, last week's Parsha ended with Kahat carrying. And this week's Parsha begins. A whole new Parsha begins. Right? Monday, Thursday, Shabbos, Mincha, we only read the first Aliyah. We don't read the 2 through 7. So we hear about Gershon doing his carrying. And the Parsha begins with much fanfare with Gershon's carrying. That's where our emphasis is. And that way, by splitting it up in this way, we don't have this this demeaning situation for Gershon. So we see even in what might be viewed as a technicality, the way the parshiot are split up, even when it comes to that, we have this concern about respect for one another and not doing something that will be demeaning to anyone. Right? We don't automatically, and Bracious, we had this over and over and over. We don't automatically give precedence to the Bechor, to the firstborn, right? Yishmael, Yitzchak, right? Esav, Yaakov. All the other tribes, Yosef. Menashe, Ephraim, right? Right? So in all those cases, right, Judaism is a meritocracy, as I think Rabbi Sachs puts it. It's a meritocracy that whoever is deserving, that is the one who gets elevated. But at the same time, we do our best not to demean anyone in the process. Actually, there is an approach by Yaakov and Esav and the whole sale of the Bechorah, that Yaakov and the sale of the Bechorah, the purchasing of the Bechorah, of that firstbornhood, the firstborn rights from Esav, was really an unnecessary exercise, right? Meaning Yitzchak didn't have to buy anything from Yishmael, and well, that was different mothers, but let's go to the tribes. Right, Yosef didn't have to purchase anything from Reuven, and Ephraim didn't need to purchase anything. The Bechorah, the firstbornhood, did not need to purchase that from Menashe. Rather, it was a meritocracy. So why did Yaakov go through that whole ordeal of purchasing the Bechorah from Esav? It was a face-saving measure for Esav. That's how Rav Isaac Sher explains it. It was a face-saving measure for Esav. Esav was going to lose it, but he's going to lose it because he was not worthy. But let him say, it wasn't taken from me. I decided to sell it. I relinquished it. So throughout, we see that even though it is a meritocracy, that it's the whoever has the greatest merit, that is the one who's chosen to that leadership position. Nevertheless, we need to do it in as gentle and respectful a manner as it can be done.
But in the case of Esav, that most poskim say that was cavalier and that Hashem judged that harshly, that he gave that up so cavalierly, so easily. If this was supposed to be a sensitive thing, wouldn't then there be the poskim have heard through?
There are different approaches to it. There are different approaches to it, right? But even if a person gives it up cavalierly, in the end, the person has the either way he's giving it up, right? Okay, let us jump ahead a little bit to page 752. Okay, and then we'll get to the Sotah aspect. Okay, 752. So here we are reiterating a din that we had, a law that we had earlier in Vayikra, And that was if a person steals and then denies it and swears about it. So then the person needs to pay back plus chomesh, which is 25%, and then also bring a korban. This is if a person stole and denied it, found a lost object and denied it, owed money for wages and denied it, was given to watch something and denied it. In all of these cases, the person, and then the person swore to their denial, and then the person came to make amends. So then he needs to reimburse the person plus with this chomesh, the 25%, and then bring a korban. Because if anyone's wondering, chomesh comes from chamesh, so that's 1/5. So 1/5 we know is 20%. So why is this rabbi, who's supposed to be pretty good in math, why is he saying a chomesh is 25%? So there are two ways of determining a fraction. The way that we determine a fraction in our mathematical world, the way we do it, is what the Gemara calls milagav, from the inside. So therefore, if you have 100, you want to take 1/5 of that, 20 is 1/5. There's another way, which is called milabar, from the outside. Meaning, let's say it was $100 that I denied, swore, now admitted. I now need to pay you 125. How much extra did I pay? 25. 25 out of 125 is
20%.
1/5. Exactly. It's 20%. Right? So I could either calculate the fraction once I've added that amount, that now the added amount will be 1/5 of the total. And that's how the Torah, and that's our understanding of the Torah is 1/5. Whatever the case is, it's repeated over here, and then we go into verse 8. V'im la'ish goel. If the man has no redeemer, la'ashiv hasham elav. Now, how do you have a person, meaning the person died, so you give it to his heirs? But we say if the person has no heirs, well, how could a person have no heirs? Meaning the person has no children, so you look at siblings. No siblings, you look at parents. Look at parents. Parents aren't alive. Look at siblings. None. Go up another generation. Grandfather, not alive. Any grandfather's brothers, not alive. Any of their descendants, right? No descendants. Go up a third generation. And you keep going up higher and higher and flowering out more and more, until you get to Yaakov Avinu, till you get to Jacob, the patriarch Jacob. And therefore, we are all related to one another. So there is no person who has no heirs, except the case is of a ger. A person who converts, they're considered now at that point to be born anew. And therefore, their children will be their heirs, but we don't go up generations over there.
We always say Ben or Bat, Sarah or
Yeah, that's what we call them when it comes to heirs, right? So then, right, there is no one who will be the heir, right? And there is no one who will be the heir. So in this case, where the Torah says, so who do we give it to? So you give it to their father. Who's their father? Hashem, right? And anything that goes to the father, right, is distributed amongst, Hashem tells you to give it to the Kohanim, to the priests, right, who are there on that mishmar, right? We have the mishmarot, we have the 24 shifts of Kohanim, and each comes and serves a week. So whoever is on at that time, that's who it will be given to, La Kohen. Right, it'll be given in Ainli Ish Goel, verse 8. If a man has no kinsman to whom La Shiva Hashem, to whom the debt can be paid, Hashem Ushav La Hashem La Kohen. It will be returned. Right, the debt is for Hashem, for the Kohen. V'chol truma, verse 9. L'chol kadshe b'nei Yisrael, and all of the truma of kadshe b'nei Yisrael, asher yakrivu la Kohen lo yihiyeh. Any of the gifts that are going to go to the Kohen, lo yihiyeh. To him it shall be. Now, what does that mean? Any of the gifts to the Kohen, right? And every portion of any of the holies of the children is to bring to the Kohen, lo yihiyeh, shall be his. What do you mean it'll be his? He's giving it to the Kohen. What do you mean lo yihiyeh? So Rashi explains as follows. I might think, Rashi says, that, hey, I'm a Kohen, and you've got truma. I walk into your field, and I grab the truma. I'm the Kohen. I go there, and I take whatever it is that's owed. That's owed to the Kohanim. No. Lo yihiyeh, the person who's giving it out, it is his. He has what's called the tovat hana'ah. He has the ability to decide which Kohen I'm going to give it to, right? It's like a discretionary account. And you use your discretion to give it to whomever you feel you should be giving it to. So that's one meaning of lo yihiyeh, okay? That will be him, and then lo yihiyeh, it'll be to him. The pasuk then continues, that was verse 9. Verse 10, v'ishas kadashav lo yiyeh, a man's holies shall be his. Asher yitain lekohen lo yiyeh, that which he'll give to the Kohen, lo yiyeh, to him it shall be. Okay? So Rashi learns that repetition again, lo yiyeh, he'll have much if he gets that. Right? He will be very, very wealthy. If he gives. Another explanation Rashi gives, and this is there is a Tosfot, I think, in Sotah that tells this story, that a person inherited his father's field, and it was a bonanza of a field in terms of its production, and it would give out, it produced 10,000 units, whatever it was, and his father would meticulously give his ma'aser, will give his 1/10, was giving away 1,000 of the 10,000 to Ma'aser. Okay. Now the son takes over and he says, 1,000? Right? I'm going to give away 1,000 out of 10,000. That's a lot of money. So he held back. He gave away 800. Right? The next year, the field produced 8,000. He said, 800? Oh, that's too much. So he gave away 400. The next year, the field produced 4,000. And so on until the field produced 1,000. And that, the Gemara says, is lo isha kadashav lo yihiyeh. That lo yihiyeh. If a person holds back that which he's supposed to be giving to others, lo yihiyeh, as opposed to that person having the 90% and the 10% being given away, lo yihiyeh, that's what he will have. The person will have, the sum total will be that 10%. But there is another way of looking at this that we had back in Parsha Truma. And the Nefesh HaChaim says a very, very beautiful thing, and it's not what we're used to hearing. Right? We always hear, Ezehu Ashir, who is a wealthy person? Finish it off. Hasameach bechelko, exactly. A person who is sameach, who is happy with his chelek, his or her chelek, with their portion. Right? No one has everything. Everyone has a chelek. Everyone has a portion. Someone who, often mistranslated, is satisfied with their lot. It doesn't say satisfied. It says sameach. Someone who is happy with their chelek. That's the person. That is a wealthy person. Nefesh Chaim takes us a step further. Right? We said before by Parsha Truma, we said the pasuk said Truma was the donations being given to the Beit Hamikdash, and we said there v'yikhu li Truma, take for me, tell Bnei Yisrael v'yikhu that they should take a Truma. Shouldn't say take, it should say they should give donations. Why does it say take? So we explained there that in truth, the only thing that a person actually takes is that which they give away. Because that which they give away, that becomes their merit, that is theirs, that is in their ledger for all eternity. Anything that we have, at best, we'll pass it on to loved ones, whoever it might be, but that is not ours. I told you the story a number of times about Mr. Reichman, the philanthropist, and his socks, right? That he left word that his children should insist that Chevra Kadisha bury him in his socks. And of course, they did not. And then the other letter afterwards said, by now you see, I wasn't even able to take a pair of socks along with me. Therefore, my dear children, please continue in the way that I led my life and my business with tzedakah, 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 because lo yiheh, that's what you have for you. So the Nefesh Chaim, or Chaim of Volozhin, explains, Ezu Ashir, who's a wealthy person? Someone who is happy with his chelek. Well, what is the person's chelek? The chelek is not what you keep. Your chelek, your portion, is that which you give away. And a person should be sameach bechelko. A person should be happy with his chelek. Mr. Eric Sampson, right, Allah Shalom, a blessed memory, was an incredible philanthropist, and Beth Jacob, with hosts of other places, gained tremendously from his generosity, and we continue to gain from the generosity of his family. And a quote that I heard Eric Sampson is, right, when someone was a little bit apologetic when he came to ask, goes, I love giving away. I love to help. Don't apologize. I love giving away. That's saneach b'chelko. I'm so happy that Hashem has given me the opportunity to give, to help others, to share. That is saneach b'chelko. Your real chelek is that which you give away. And a wealthy person is someone who is sameach, who is happy with that which they give away. Because if I'm happy with that which I give away, then it means I'm recognizing that God is giving me anything and everything that I have, and He's given me this opportunity to help others. He's made me the conduit to help others. What a bracha! What a gift, what a privilege. God, you chose me to be the conduit to help others. I am so sameach. I am so happy with my chelek, with this portion that you have given me. Thank you, Hashem. So ish es kadashav lo yihiyeh. A person, their holy things, that which they use for kedusha, lo yihiyeh, that will be for him. That will be his. Right? Everything else, we never know what will be. Right? We could, see the market just crashed. 10,000 points, bang. Right? Whatever it is. Right? Or the market. All of a sudden, this expense comes, and that expense comes, and this expense comes, right? It's all divinely orchestrated, as we'll do tonight in our 13 principles of faith, as we're going into that part of our Jewish journeys. All are welcome to join. It's not just all welcome to join. Like the Kashrut series, we had other people joining also. Isha kadashav lo yihiyeh. And then we go on to the whole issue of a sotah. A sotah is a very, very, if we just read it simply, very, very harsh, and it is harsh, right? But one needs to look into the psukim more. The simple reading is, any man, page 755, 754, any man whose wife shall go astray and commit treachery against him, and a man could have lain with her carnally, it was hidden from the eyes of her husband, she became secluded, and could have been defiled, there was no witness, we don't know what happened in there, she had not been forced, it was not a case of a rape, right? And a spirit of jealousy passed over him, and he warned his wife, and she became defiled, or he warned her, but she did not come. We don't know what happened. He shall bring his wife to the Kohen, and he shall bring her offering with her, a tenth of an eighth of barley flour, no oil, no incense. It is a meal offering of jealousness, a meal offering of remembrance, a reminder of iniquity. The Kohen shall bring her near and have her stand before Hashem. The Kohen should take sacred water in an earthenware vessel, and the Kohen should take from the earth that is on the floor of the tabernacle, add to the water. The Kohen shall have the woman stand before Hashem, uncover the woman's head, and upon her palms he shall put the meal offering of remembrance, and the Kohen shall adjure her and say to the woman, on page 757, if a man is not laying with you, not stay straight in defilement with someone other than husband, then be proven innocent by these bitter waters that cause curse. But if you have strayed with someone other than your husband, you become defiled, and a man other than your husband has lain with you, and then that's the oath of the curse. And then what will happen, 22, these waters that cause curse will enter your innards, cause your stomach to distend, a thigh to collapse, and the wound shall respond, Amen, Amen. The Kohen shall inscribe these curses on a scroll and blot it out in the bitter waters, and then she will drink that, and that follows as we just described before. So a couple of things here to get a fuller understanding of what's happening here. What happened over here is a man in front of witnesses told his wife, don't be alone with a certain person, with Bob. Okay? Now, imagine where this relationship is at if a man has to tell his wife, don't be alone with any particular person.
But that could be just the man's personality too.
Okay.
Spirit of jealousies.
Okay.
It could be totally unreasonable.
Okay. He can be. Okay. He can be totally right. There are plenty of very unreasonable men out there. Granted. But again, just imagine where this relationship is at if he has the need to tell her, don't be alone with so-and-so. And if he has the need to tell her, we would imagine he would tell her privately. Listen, I don't want you going. I don't want you walking off with so-and-so. Right? Doing it in front of witnesses just shows just how on the rocks this relationship is. And then witnesses see her check into a motel room with Bob. But no one knows what happened behind that closed door. Assumptions can be made, but no one knows what happened behind that. So now she is brought to the Beis HaMikdash. At any point, she can say, if you don't trust me, I want nothing to do with you.
And she can ask for a get, but then he It's his choice or not.
And he'll have to give her a get. He'll have to give her a get. And the marriage is over. She will lose her ketubah, right? But she says, I don't want to be with you. If you don't trust me, if you don't, right? If there's no faith in this relationship, I'm out of here. Now, furthermore, if the husband has not been proper and loyal in his relationship, if the husband has been involved in any forbidden sexual activity, then the waters will not affect her. The pasuk there says, just 1 second. The pasuk says, "V'nikah ish." If anything happens to her, then he will not be held responsible for her infidelity. But the term that's used is "V'nikah ish me avon." The man will be clear of any sin, for which the sages understand. If the man is clear of any sin, of any sexual impropriety on his part, then the waters will have this checking effect on her. If the man himself, the husband, has not been, so he's all out of sorts about her shenanigans, but he's got his own shenanigans.
And that's why he has the suspicious mind.
Perhaps. So then the waters will not affect her. And if there were shenanigans that went on, and the husband was clear of any avon, of any sin, and therefore she was affected by these waters, the waters will have this effect on her, she who drank the waters, and will have a simultaneous, identical effect on the guy with whom she had her affair. So wherever he is, all of a sudden, he goes through the same that she had gone through. But she, at any point, can say, I'm out of here. I'm out of here. So what's actually happening over here is this relationship. Now, why would a woman drink it if she knows that she acted with infidelity? I don't know. I would imagine that any woman would at some point not admit to the infidelity, but say, if you don't trust me, I want nothing to do with you, right? And I'm out of here. Esty, what do you want to say? I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I didn't know that they had an option. I mean.
They do. Yeah, that's why we need
Right.
the Torah Shabbal Peh, right? That goes along with it. She has an option out, okay? And she can say, I'm out of here, right? Now,
If she's not guilty,
if she's not guilty,
she might want to go through it to prove her reputation.
okay, so now what's happening over here is if she is not, now, even if there were some, we'll call it flirtatious behavior behind that closed door, right? Not just flirtatious, but physical behavior. If it was not actual sexual relations, then the waters are not going to affect her. Okay? Now, what we have over here is a relationship that is so on the rocks that the only way it can be restored is by God testifying it's okay. And a sincere desire on the part of both of them to let's come back together. Let's make this work. short of God's testimony, so to speak, that nothing happened over there, then this relationship seems to be on the road. The Gemara tells a great story that there was a woman who went to a shiur given by Rabbi Meir on a Friday night, and she came home late from that shiur. The candles had burned down, and her husband was not very, very happy. And the husband said to her, a real lout, he said, I will not let you into the house until you go and spit in the face of Rabbi Meir. Thanks, Janet, for the sound effects, right? So this woman is like walking around, like her head is spinning. Oh my God. Eliyahu Hanavi, the Gemara says, came to Rabbi Meir and told him the story, what happened. Rabbi Meir went back to the Beit Midrash. He saw her wandering outside, and he says, please, please, come help me, come help me, come help me. She runs in, what can I do? He said, something in my eye, please. Spit 7 times. Spit 7 times in my eye. She spit 7 times in his eye. He goes, oh, thank you, it's out. Now go home and tell your husband that you told me to spit once, I spat 7 times. The Talmidim, the students, were all up in arms. Right? Rebbe, that's what you do to your honor? Right? We should have taken this guy, given him lashes for treating his wife in such a way, lashes for telling her to do such a terrible thing. And he said, I learned it from the Parsha of Sotah. What happens in the Parsha of Sotah? We take the scroll, the Parsha, the paragraph, where this whole Parsha is written, different opinions, which words are written, but God's name is certainly in there. And we take that scroll, that parchment, with these psukim written on it, and we blot it out in the water. Now, we have a prohibition of mechikat Hashem. One of the reasons we have geniza, we have the things that get sent to the cemetery. God's name. We don't destroy God's name. We don't erase God's name. Right? A sefer. Right? We don't blot out God's name. A prohibition against blotting out God's name. Here the Torah says blot out God's name. So Rav Meir said to his students, right? God could have done this whole thing without having his name blotted out. Why did God have his name blotted out, so to speak, over here? Because that would add to credence to what's happening, and that would add to the shalom bayit, to the domestic tranquility. That's what will add to it. Even though this whole thing could have worked without that, that just adds to it. And therefore, if God could have his name blotted out to add to the shalom bayit, domestic tranquility, we could have brought him here, we could have given some lashes, that would have taken care of the problem, that would not have added to the domestic tranquility. Therefore, that's why I had her come and spit in my eye 7 times. Yes, Janet, then
if
go.
someone is innocent and goes well through this process and then still wants nothing to do with, because you put me through this publicly and everything, then at the get period, are they still entitled to the ketubah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
It's only in the before that.
If she, right. They are prohibited from being with one another from the time that the witnesses saw her alone until she drinks. So if she decides not to drink, then she is opting out of the marriage. The marriage can't go on with them, right? After she drinks, if she was pure, the pasuk says v'nizra zera, even if she was barren until that point, now she'd be able to have children. Famously, the Gemara tells us that Chana, the mother of Shmuel, the wife of Elkanah, was barren. And when she went to pray at the Mishkan, when Eli saw her, thought she was drunk, gave her a blessing, and Shmuel was born. So it says there that the tefillah that she had was a very, very forceful tefillah, prayer, that she flung, so to speak, against God. And she said, God, I know you will not make your Torah false. And if you don't grant me a child, I'm going to have my husband warn me to not be alone with someone. I'm going to go be alone with that person, and then I'll drink the water. And the Torah says that if the woman was pure, then she will have a child. If she was barren, she'll then be able to have children, right? So God, if you want to play hardball, I'll play hardball with you. We can do it nice, we can do it hard, and we can do it easy. God, let's do it easy. Just grant me a child. So there was this din, this idea that of a barren woman having children, right? That Hannah used when she was hetiach dvareha klape mala. The Gemara says that she flung her words up towards the heaven to try to force Hashem's hand on this. And Hashem decided to play nice, and she began praying. Dov.
I have a feeling at the time of Aaron that it never really happened.
Could be. Dov said, well, Aaron was known for his promoting the domestic or tranquility, not just domestic tranquility, but all shalom amongst all of us, right? Right. So Dov wants to contend that in the time of Aaron HaKohen, it never happened. Could be. I think that's an assumption one can make. I don't know of any such clear teaching, but I can go along with that. I go along with
It
that.
has to be secluded with man. What about a woman?
Sotah is only if don't be alone with a particular man.
So if it's like I said, that doesn't qualify.
That would not go into the category of Sotah. That's correct.
So are there ever times of cases where the Beit Din would say, you're unreasonable, this doesn't reach that? Suppose, like in Eshet Chayil, someone was a spinner or a weaver and had some sort of cloth concession. And she had been warned, but the husband of the man she had been warned about, but came in on a
That's not considered
proxy
alone with.
for his wife, but was
That-
alone in this shuk or whatever.
That's not considered alone, right? Alone means in a secluded area that will allow for.
Well, what if it was a closed store, say?
As long as the door is open, other people, right? If it's a closed store and she locks the door after he
No,
comes in,
okay.
that's a problem. As long as look, we have our laws of yichud, of not being in a situation where a man and a woman are alone, right? And if the door is unlocked, right, and people can just walk in,
Okay.
right, or if the husband or the wife, right, are in town, right, so then then it's not an issue of yichud, right? If no one could walk in, the door is locked, or no one's going to walk in, then it is an issue of yichud. I always like to tell the story. It's just, people think of yichud. What you think I'm some sort of a this, some sort of a that, right? Why don't we just trust people? So first of all, it's interesting to note that in the business world now, with all of the Me Too movement and all of that, right? So a lot of practices have gone into the business world that if it's going to be a meeting between a man and a woman, as they're traveling, it shouldn't be up in the hotel room. It should be in the lobby, and it should be right.
Or conference room.
Yeah, or a conference room. It should be in a place where everyone feels
And
safe.
a man and a man. And a woman and a woman.
Okay. The truth is,
Professional.
with what's going on now, when I have not just a bat mitzvah girl, but a bar mitzvah boy, I like to keep my door open. I keep my office open. I don't want there to be any situation that anyone will be able to say anything, right? But we're living in Israel, and I was homesick one day, and I was lying down on the couch, and one of the women came and knocked on the door, expecting to, and I said, come in. It was a neighbor, and she asked if they need to borrow some eggs, right? So she kept the door open when she came in. And I thought to myself, this is so beautiful, right? Because had there not been the laws of yichud, right? Then, and she came in and the door closed and locked behind her, right? She might have felt uncomfortable, or I might have felt uncomfortable, but wouldn't have felt comfortable saying anything, right? Because then it would be like, oh, you think I'm going to jump you? Right? That's what you think of me, right? But the laws of yichud, it completely depersonalizes it. I don't think anything that you're going to do that. But these are the halachot. These are the laws. So by her leaving the door open, she felt safe. I wasn't the least bit insulted because, like I said, it depersonalizes it. When you have to put in your own safeguards, so then that right, so you're uncomfortable around me. Oh, you think I'm right? So it's a beautiful situation. So the whole sotah, Janet, would only be in a situation that is a very compromised situation. And if she is a what's it called? She has a shop, and that person to whom her husband said don't be alone with walks in, right? So then she would make sure that the door is not locked, that anyone else can walk
Still, a
in.
husband
And
with a
that's
spirit of jealousy might still bring it to the community.
it doesn't make a difference. You need witnesses that she was alone with that person, right? And if she wasn't, then she wasn't, then she isn't.
I mean, what if no one else walks in the store then?
So there are no witnesses.
Oh,
Right? Right? And as long as the door is open, if someone saw him walk in, the door was open, that's not witnesses of seclusion. Okay, I'm going to be meeting with Rabbi Rock today, who's going to be assuming a lot of my responsibilities when I'm away. I'm leaving next Tuesday, Bezrat Hashem, to our trip to Israel.
safe.
And thank you, amen. And so I'm going to see which classes he might be able to pick up. So I'll see if he will be able to pick up the Tuesday morning class, right? Or if he can part of the time, we'll work out some way of letting people know, right? Which weeks yes, which weeks not. Maybe I will just make a WhatsApp group. Maybe I'll do that. Everyone use WhatsApp over here? Janet, you use WhatsApp? Yeah. Okay. Ken?
I don't have enough WhatsApp groups. I mean,
We all feel. Do you have another way, Shruti, of letting people know?
Well, they could just send emails like this week, classes are on, classes are
No,
not
the
on.
WhatsApp group is fine. I'm
Okay.
not objecting. I'm
Okay.
just having some levity.
Okay.
That's why, I mean,
Yeah.
this way, everybody, you could just say, classes this week led by Rabbi Rock, or no classes this week.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
list, lunch and learn, just like the general email on
Yeah.
classes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'll see if we can do both of those.
Rabbi, did she say share coil and then drink it?
All right, Dove.
So if it's on WhatsApp, does that mean, we're gonna be able to access it on our computers then?